Well, good afternoon. I wanted to take a few minutes here to relate to you an incident that happened the other day when I was at the prison of Santa Adelaida outside of Matamoros. That even though the prisons are still operating under COVID protocols with no visits other than on weekends, I generally go sometime Monday through Friday. And what transpired the other day is when I was there, about 50% of the time, when I go now, because I'm the only one that's inside the prison that's not a guard or staff or administration. There are no other visitors there, and probably about half the time a guard will accompany me, and the other half of the time, I just go by myself. And I don't think it's really so much that I'm accompanied because they fear for my safety or anything. The people inside the prison, they know me and they respect me for what we're doing. I've been there, going there for over 20 years now. But I think they go a lot of times just because they're curious as to what takes place and what I'm doing. And so the other day, I went and I thought I was going by myself, and I turned around and one of the guards, a lady guard, her name's Alejandra, she was walking with me, towards the library where I was going to get up with Manuel. And while we were there, she, listened, and she heard me going over the studies with Manuel and answering questions that they had as to why this answers that, why this answers this, and I spent probably 45 minutes to an hour there, and she sat there the whole time just listening and watching what we were doing. Well, when I got up to get ready to leave, needless to say, she was accompanying me back to the main gate for the exit, and Manuel, he always escorts me back towards the gate as well. And so as we're going back, we neared the gate, and when we did, she looked over at me and she said, "Are these studies just for the inmates?" And I looked at her, I said, "Excuse me?" She said, "Well, can anybody else but the inmates do the studies?" I said, "Why, yes." I said, "In the past, I've had different guards, that were doing the studies." And I asked her, I said, "Are you interested? Are you wanting to do the studies?" And she said, yes, that she would like to. So to make a real long story short, that's the reason I wanted to do it by this little video clip, because it would have been too long to try to type it out, into the newsletter. She started doing the studies. Well, here, when I was at the prison the other day, Manuel was telling me about an incident that had taken place with a couple of the fellas that were doing the studies and haven't been turning them in, of late. And the reason being is because they were kind of contracted out by the cartel, on the inside, to deliver the food over onto the ladies' side, but deliver the food and to come back. It's really hard to explain this operation and how it works. There's many of you over the years that have accompanied us, down into the prisons, and you know what it's like. But because there's no point of reference and no way to correlate it, it's really hard for people to understand. Just really, what it is like with the open society of the prison. Well, these fellas, they were taking the food over, but they weren't coming straight back, and they got them some girlfriends, and to make the long of it short, the cartel wasn't very happy about it, and they do their things, but at the same time, when they send people over, they want them to go over, not even talk to the women, to go over, deliver the food, the cauldrons of soup and whatever the food is, deliver it, and then come straight back. Well, these two fellas were put into confinement, locked up on the inside, not by the state, not by the government, but the cartels got them locked up, and they may be there for several months just for not doing what they were told to do. And so they were needing somebody to take the food over, and they couldn't find anybody they could trust that would just deliver the food and leave. Well, one of them spoke up and said, well, what about Manuel? Well, the problem is the people who were delivering the food, not only do they deliver the food over to the ladies, but they also have to work in the kitchen a little bit, cleaning up around the kitchen, the utensils, and scrub walls and clean the bathrooms and everything. So they come to Manuel, talk to him about doing it because they pay him. And he says, I can't do it. And they say, you do understand who's asking you to do this, don't you? And he says, I can't do it. So Manuel was telling the cartel that he couldn't deliver the food over to the lady's side. And they said, well, why can't you do it? He said, I can't give time for doing this. He says, I'm involved with, I take care of the library. I'm the encargado. I'm the caretaker, the librarian, of the Christian library. And he says, I'm involved with Brother Gary. He says, I help in the coordination, of the studies and delivering them. So here he's telling the cartel that he can't do it because of his duties with the library and the Bible studies. And they didn't know what to think. They didn't know what to make of it. And so finally, they spoke to him and said, Manuel, can you just deliver the food? And he said, just deliver the food. And when Manuel's telling me this, he's just smiling real big. And he says, yes. He says, I can deliver the food. They said, well, you have 10 minutes to go on the lady's side, deliver the food, and leave. He says, we don't want you getting up with any of the women. We don't want you even talking to any of the women. Just deliver the food and come straight back. He says, well, I can do that. And they knew they could trust him to do it. And so here the other day, he had taken the food over, and as he was going in, he had to give the lady guard, who was guarding the entrance into the women's area, he gave her his name, and he told her, he says, I'm Manuel Fajardo, and I've come to deliver the food. And she looked at him. She said, you're Manuel. And he could tell by the way she asked that she had something on her mind, and he says, yes. And she told him, she says, well, I'm Alejandra's aunt. And so Manuel, he's wondering, okay, you're Alejandra's aunt. And so he starts asking her, just different Alejandras that are in the prison, are you her aunt, or this one's aunt, or that one's aunt? And she says, no, you don't understand. She says, the guard, Alejandra, I'm her aunt. She lives with me. And so Manuel just looked at her, and she says, you're the one who coordinates the Bible studies on the inside of here, passes them out and retrieves them? He says, yes, I am. And she looked at him. She says, I don't know what's happened. She says, but Alejandra, she is not the same woman that she used to be. Ever since she started doing those Bible studies, and I see her working on the studies, her whole life has changed. And she was just astonished talking to Manuel about it. And she says, I don't know what to make of it. She is not the same woman she used to be. And she said, I never would have dreamed that there would be such a change that would take place in Alejandra's life. And so Manuel just started talking to her a little bit about the goodness of God and how God, through His Word, does change people's lives. He makes them a new creature, that they're not the same as they used to be. And she was just standing there shaking her head. Not that she didn't believe Manuel. I mean, she believed what Manuel was telling her because she had seen the evidence herself in Alejandra, her niece's life. But she was just shaking her head, and she says, I never would have dreamed that such a change could have taken place in Alejandra's life, but it was because of those Bible studies. I just wanted to pass that on to you all to let you know, when you only send a newsletter out, every 3-4 months, and you can only put so much in it, I feel like I just lose contact with people, just letting them know just how things are going. God is blessing. God is good. We are seeing changes in people's lives. Alejandra, one of the guards right now, but with men, we get testimonies all the time written on the back of their studies of what God's done for them. And I just want to tell you how much we appreciate everything that you have done to help us, to partner with us, and to faithfully pray and to support this work down here in the prisons of Mexico. And that's the only thing we ask. That's the only thing we have ever asked anybody, is that they remember us in prayer. God knows all the needs we have. He knows what they are. We do not express them often enough probably. But God knows what those needs are, and I know that if you'll continue to pray with us, God will continue to bless. It's not our work, it's His work, and He will continue to bless His work. We just thank you so much. God bless you all. I trust that whenever you're looking at this, whether it's in morning or afternoon or night, I just pray that you have a blessed day. God bless you now.